Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Equation, where we dive into the real challenges and triumphs of scaling and growing Australian marketing and branding agencies. We feature candid conversations with founders who are navigating often the messy middle and scaling the business. Today we've got Ryan Jenkins. Ryan, I'd love to hear a bit more about you.
Morning, Tristan. How are you today?
Good, mate. Good.
That's good. About me, what would you like to know?
Tell us about your business and just give us a 2-minute synopsis of your journey and where you've been.
Sure. So the Hype Society is a brand-focused digital marketing and growth agency. We work with mid-market brands to help them scale. So when you talk about scaling agencies, I mean, we're there to help scale brands that have passed product market fit, that are under-resourced, or don't have a strategy to be able to achieve their marketing objectives through things like digital marketing, content creation, brand strategy, and digital marketing execution.
Awesome. And a bit about your journey. We're talking just before we started that this isn't your first rodeo. So you've run a different business and actually sold it. So
yeah, so this is my second furore, I'm not sure how you say it, but my second agency. And what I learned through my first agency is that I didn't really want to run what I would call a digital marketing gun for hire. So we were very much a commoditized product. If you wanted SEO, Google ads, social media ads, you would come to an agency like Digital Eagles, and then we would run campaigns for you. This iteration of what we provide is far more integrated. It's far more of a partnership. We work with less clients, but we're far more integrated into their business. So when I was sort of talking to you before, we work with growth-focused founders or under-resourced marketers. So you've either got a strategy and you need a team of experts to help you execute on that strategy all in one place, or you're a founder that's growing fast and you've got budget, but you don't have a team or a strategy to be able to continue to harness the opportunities that you possess. So we want to bolt on to your business and really help you with expert resources and support to help you continue to maximize the opportunities that you've got in market.
Awesome. So sort of like an integrated marketing department or something.
That's right. Yeah. The other competitive edge for us is we have what's called flexible performance retainers. So we're not locking our clients into line items. We have a retainer. We work on a rolling 90-day project period. So at the end of that quarter, we would be assessing performance, what worked well, what didn't work well, where are the insights and opportunities to make calculated, bets and decisions based on facts, reality, and insights, and also your plan, to continue to move forward into the next quarter. So then we would be reviewing that each quarter to make sure that you're investing in the areas that are only driving value for your business.
Love it. It's something I teach or something similar. Like you end up creating an annual strategy, but it gets refined and reviewed on a quarterly basis, and you can scale up and down, basically picking items off a menu that are needed at the time.
Yeah.
So tell me, in your journeys of growing both businesses, what would you say is, like, let's say the biggest misconception you had or people have around scaling a business?
That it's easy. And when you sit back and you look at someone's website or LinkedIn profile or accolades or awards or recognition or people within the marketing space that are interviewed and being recognized, that you're only seeing the top of the pyramid. And we've all seen where you've got the iceberg at the top and then you've got all the shit underneath the water that you don't see. That's one of the most factually correct things I reckon I've sort of seen. everyone's an overnight success, and it's
10 years to get there.
Yeah, that's right. And this is my 10th year in the marketing agency game. So and the marketing game changes so rapidly, and you look at what AI is doing, and how fragmented the space is. It's getting probably more challenging than ever to show genuine connection, and having your customers really appreciate sort of what you do, because there's so much noise out there.
And there's so many, let's say, untrained experts that niche into a certain area, like email copywriting, and they only look at one platform, and they don't necessarily look at the whole marketing, like every single angle of the business. They like, yep, we can solve all of your issues with one offer. So, and it ends up giving the entire space a bad name.
We did a survey before starting to really make sure that what our conception for the business was actually correct. So we interviewed over 50 founders and marketers to understand what they're looking for. And what they are looking for is one place, one person. Not necessarily, they don't care if they're your staff, but this is my team. This is who I work with. And I just want to deal with one agency that can help us achieve what we're trying to achieve, rather than have an email marketing specialist, an SEO specialist, a Google Ads specialist, a social media specialist, a designer. Like, that becomes a nightmare for marketers and business owners, because that's where it went. It went from all-in-one agency to then these specialized companies doing their specialization, and now it's sort of coming back to, it's so complicated, it's so fragmented. I don't have the information. I don't want to learn everything. I just want to trust one partner to be able to help me.
One trusted partner that that manages all the experts.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As you've been growing your business, talk to me about a significant decision that you've had to make that's really significantly shaped the direction of your business.
I make significant decisions, feels like every week. I think as a marketing agency, you feel the market before the market recognizes what's happening in market. So when consumer confidence starts to fall away and interest rates, start to rise, we all know in the marketing land that marketing and training and some other variable costs are one of the first things to be cut. So we feel that almost instantly if market confidence diminishes. So I've learned that every single time that I've needed to cut costs, I need to probably look at cutting them faster than I do, because I'm a very optimistic person. We can just sell more, we can upgrade, we can bring in more clients, and we can replace any lost revenue or risk revenue with new ones. But then we've got to, for me, I've got to look at the facts and the reality of particular situations to help me and my business partner, drive decisions to ensure that we can protect the business for the future, and not gamble on the fact that, we can increase our sales targets and just do more marketing and bring in more clients. We've got to have, a decision-making matrix, which we do now have, which if we do need to cut costs and reduce them, we need to do that a little bit faster than, potentially what I'd like to. So that's probably the one core thing that I reckon I've had to learn 4 or 5 times in my career.
Yeah, it's and the last thing we want to do is cut costs and reduce our headcount, because we're wanting to look after our staff and our team as well. So we often put them first. So we need to take emotion out of it and actually look at the reality. So there's some things that are in our control and some things that aren't.
Yeah. And probably the other major decision that we've made recently is we've got a fully customized all-in-one agency management platform now that's been built, and that's really helping systemize and help us with automating processes, making sure that we've got documentation around our processes, and that we've got one system that's the engine room for the business. We're not piecemealing things anymore. We've done a lot of work to get the back end of this business up and running and moving at a much more streamline rate than we did maybe a year ago.
And that sort of thing allows you to almost step out of the business at times and trust that it will still operate without you.
I wish that was true. But
In
for
the
me,
future.
yeah, in the future, I talk about when I do mentor people and I'm working with other business owners or agency founders, that it's about just climbing up one rung at a time, right? So if I'm in sales, I'm in strategy, I'm managing our client service team, and I'm also managing our digital delivery team, then I talk about what is the one place within the business that I can develop processes and systems for, so I can step at least one rung up in the next X amount of time. Because systemizing and processizing 4 areas of a business all at once is a mammoth task, and I know that it's not going to happen straight away, but it's about picking one of those business units and coaching and supporting my team to be able to help me create those processes and systems so I can go and help another area do better. So that's sort of how I think about it. It's like rungs on a ladder, and I know when I'm at the top, like I was probably at Digital Eagles, and looking down on the business and running the business as a proper founder and CEO, like that was where I really want to be able to be again in the next year or two. And that's the journey I'm on now.
Do you have a framework that you use for all of this?
We do have a framework. So within our client service, or what we would call performance marketing division, we have communication processes. We have daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly tasks. We have reporting framework. So we have what happens daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. We have relationship tasks or engagement tasks. What happens daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly. So we do break every one of those segments into different processes within different business units. And then obviously SEO has their own processes. Google Ads have their own set of processes. But I'd be lying if I had a beautiful manual that was all automated and fully documented. No, but that's sort of where we're trying to go with this platform that we're using to do so.
What's the platform? Do you mind me
It's
asking?
called Excello.
Yep. I'm fully aware of Excello. So
really good.
Yeah, that's one of the marketing agencies. It's one of the probably top 2 or 3 that the businesses will use. So Excello, Scoro, and ClickUp are some of probably the top 3. So how do you find, so having these systems and processes in place, what's the adherence from your team and staff to actually following them? So specifically around time tracking, let's say.
So time tracking and task management is probably the reason that we decided Excello was going to be the one. We have retainers. Within those retainers, we then have tasks, and the retainers are created at a business unit level. So for instance, SEO has their own retainer. That retainer will have a budget. So let's call it 2,000. So then my SEO specialist will know that month they have a budget of 2,000 to spend. They would then go and break their retainer into those tasks, and then they would set the due date on those tasks to then be completed. When they open the task, the time tracking system will automatically start the timer. When they finish that task, it will close the task and also then take that time away from the internal retainer. So that I haven't seen any other platform or system that works that well from an integrated retainer management, task management, and time tracking perspective. So that I'm really, really happy with. We get complete transparency on hours, tasks, and allocations of those retainers.
Has there been a pushback at all from the staff to track at that level?
Not at all. I think now that, okay, I'll go backwards. When you're putting in processes and systems, time tracking and task management years in to an agency, you're going to get backlash. We had these systems and processes from day one. So every time someone joined the business, that's just the way we do things around here. So we were using Exana and Harvest, for instance. So, everything from the day that we opened up the business was tracked against the task. That time was tracked against the task. And then that was taken out of a retainer. That was all done sort of manually through retainer spreadsheets and whatnot. But there's no pushback at all. Like, they just accept that's the way we do business.
Yeah. And for me, it's not necessarily about tracking the staff members' hours in terms of keeping them accountable. It's to ensure that the business is profitable and
of course
that there is no unearned revenue or work done out of scope.
Yeah, and I don't think anybody thinks that we're there to micromanage them. We do really encourage our team to be proactive and self-starting, and to be responsible for the strategy. So, we would work with them and collaborate on, this is your retainer allocation for this month. Do you think that's enough? Is it too much? What have you got planned? Show me through the work that you've done and how that, what you've got planned for the future. And then that allows us to go and pitch to the client to increase their performance retainer, or we can redistribute, any of those, what we would forecast be underutilized for that month for whatever reason. So once they then have that budget, they then know that that's my fixed retainer. That's what I have to work with. And then it's their job to then work backwards from that based on what are the KPIs and objectives that are set with the client.
Awesome. From your perspective, I imagine that you're wanting to grow you're in a phase where you're wanting to grow the revenue at the moment, but at the same time, you're wanting to maintain this operational efficiency. So how do you bounce between the two when you're putting all of this energy into setting up these systems and needing to grow revenue?
It's a good question. I don't have a business development team at all. So business development is me, and sales is what I've done for 20 years. So I'm very comfortable in that space. So really, I just know I have a finite amount of time. We have growth targets, which I know that I have to achieve. I have marketing levers that I pull. But most of our clients, fortunately, come through word of mouth, repeat business, ex-clients that I've worked with that have, gone into different companies that bring us on board. So I know there's a reasonably consistent inbound flow of opportunities, and I'm more than comfortable on the sales side to be able to convert those opportunities. That's probably 25% of my week. Then the maybe 30% would be in client strategy and performance marketing strategy, like what I would call my account directorship role, where I'm actually sitting down, reviewing accounts at a top level, making sure that they're performing. And then the rest of my time would be negotiated through operational systems and processes, business management, webinars, podcasts, other things that I do to build the brand of the business. So, and then it would also be maybe 10 to 15% of my time working on operational management directly with our delivery team.
Awesome. Now, we haven't spoken headcount. What's your headcount roughly?
It's about 20.
Yep. Is that full-time equivalent or?
Yeah, sort of fluctuates anywhere from sort of 16 to 22. Full-time equivalent, sort of 18 to 20, I would say. Yeah.
That's right in the number that I say 16 to 21 is the really risky number headcount wise, where your OPEX grows a lot, but your profit doesn't, because your revenue hasn't caught up with it yet. Is that what you're finding at the moment?
Yeah. So if I go back to what I know, I've got to get through this death chasm as fast as possible.
That's exactly what I say. Like, the valley of death is 16 to 21.
Yeah. And we've been here for too long. So I know why. And we're sort of rapidly trying to fix that. So our churn is too high. So, and our sales, the way we've selected clients has probably been due to necessity to grow the business. So what I would have liked to done is been a fair bit more selective over the last couple of years with the clients that we're working with, and then also done a bit more work around the processes and systems to retain and grow clients, and maybe bring them in at less aggressive retainers. Because what I try and do is get enough money to deliver enough service, to deliver enough communication, to deliver enough results to drive the client forward. But if it's a fine balance between overcapitalization of investment and enough money to grow. So that's probably been a bit of a dance over the last year and a half or so to make sure that we've got the right clients with the right brand, with the right expectation, giving us enough time. Because if we have enough time, we can grow almost any business. So it just comes down to their investment level and what I would call their investment anxiety. Because my job is to essentially remove that anxiety from the investment, get them into growth mode, get some runs on the board, so this can this anxiety falls away and we're collaborating, we're working together on driving the business forward. When it's in the other sort of anxiety space, like it's looking under every single rock, they're looking for issues, they're looking for problems, they're not in that sort of, abundance mindset, I would call it.
Yeah. So if you had your time again, once you got to headcount of 15, um, how would you change the way you've attacked your growth?
I would have done the work with the CRM earlier. I would have built the processes and the systems earlier. I would have said no to more clients than I said yes to build, sustainable profit. And like we've had lumpy profit. Like last year was like a tough year. Like we took a loss last year, but then this year has been fantastic. So now we're back into this sort of grow again mode. And our game is to get the 200K recurring revenue before the end of this financial year. That then I'm out of that chasm, and we can go to 25 to 50, which is the part I really enjoyed last time I've done this.
Yeah, awesome. How much are you using AI in your business on a daily basis in terms of actually work delivery?
A lot of Chat GPT is probably the one thing that we do. We're using a lot of the design AI softwares as well in our creative team. We're doing a bit with some AI editing software for videos. We've experimented with AI content. Say again.
The video editing, which tool are you
I
using?
can't remember. I'm not close enough to that side of the business, but I know they definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's still not enough. Like we're still not using it like enough, and that hasn't been substantiated. Just I know how much is out there, and like we try and be at the forefront in all departments to make sure that we are trying to streamline and systemize, but also get efficiency gains using AI. But this kind of nagging thing is just, it's not enough. I've got to be looking at more technological advancements.
Yeah, my argument is if you're not building it into your workflow now, you're going to be losing money really quickly.
Yeah.
One of my clients, she's very much in the content space, and we've been able to reduce the man hours, we'll call them man hours, by 70%. And what that's led to is a faster turnaround time and a greater quality of output. And she hasn't laid off her staff. That's just increased her capacity. So,
amazing.
And that's just by not just Chat GPT, but having multi-agent systems talking to one another.
Mm.
And that's just in one workflow for her business. So my argument is, if you're not doing it, you're going to be behind in the next 12 and 18 months.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I feel that.
Yeah. So like that's probably you're putting in place your Acello at the moment. Like that's got to be built into Acello, those processes.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon is your next biggest hurdle that you've got coming up in the business in the next 6 months?
Talent acquisition, I would say. So now that we know that we're coming into another growth phase, it's about making sure that we retain our top talent, and then making sure that we bring on, the talent that is going to propel the business, into where we want it to go. We've toyed with international expansion a couple of times, and we still want to do that. Like we think that we can, replicate what we're doing in this market in other markets, but that's probably after 6 months. We really do want to embed our operating model and get some consistent, growth performance before looking at that, maybe the following financial year. But yeah, talent acquisition, I think, would be talent retainment, and talent acquisition would be our biggest challenge.
Yeah, and that's been, I think, a big thing for a lot of agencies, marketing space businesses over the last 12 months as well, because staff are also not afraid to ask for a higher salary and move around a bit more at the moment too.
This is going to sound controversial. I think younger people aren't like younger people when I was younger. Like we've got a market of, you know, hand out versus hand up. A lot of the times it's like, you know, pay me more money or give me this thing and I'll do the sort of used to having to work for the thing, you know. I'll do that. Give me more opportunity. I can do that. Give me a chance and I can prove to you that. Like I feel like there's a lot less of that, and they know that we're in a, you know, probably a market where agencies will you know, pay overs for certain talent to capitalize on an opportunity. So the market, I suppose, yeah, has a bit more power than it probably used to when I was younger. I do feel like it's coming back though towards us as the business owners, you know, going back into that sort of equal, you know, value transfer dance, I would call it. So yeah, but that's just a challenge. It will be forever.
I think it's, and I don't know if it's just because we're getting older or and we're progressing through, and I'm sure people 10, 15, 20 years older than us are feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, so who knows? Mindset and personal well-being. How have you found you've needed to manage that, and are you managing that?
Am I managing that? I'm not doing as well with that as I would like to. So there have been times where I've been very, very focused around my health and well-being. The last 12 months has been a bit more challenging just because the business has been more challenging. So it's expected more from me. So hours, but also my capacity. And it's interesting because when you have challenges, you feel a lot more alone than when you're working, you know, in a business, you know, for a company. When you are the company, you know, there's no one that's sitting above you and being there to help you feel secure. You're just making decisions based on your experience, the knowledge, your intuition that you think are going to work, and that's a lot of pressure to wear, and it's a burden to have. And when we talk about reducing costs and having to let people go or consolidating, or, you know, that also is something that although I'm much more comfortable now, I still hate it. I still don't like having to, you know, have those conversations and then negotiate with suppliers, and, you know, all this, the crappy parts of business become crappier when, you know, financially the market's tougher. So that's probably, you know, that's probably been a bit of a challenge for me to be able to, manage my
Prioritize and manage that.
Yeah. I still go to the gym, you know, multiple times a week. I eat reasonably healthy, but like I'm nowhere near on that side of my life where I'd like to be from a fitness and well-being perspective, because I've been a lot better than this.
One thing I notice is, like, I go through all those sorts of things as well, but for me personally, the more I manage my health, the more I put into myself, even in those tough times, the better I perform at work,
Of course.
the business, decision making.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, I actually know that. It's actually just having the discipline to put it into practice and be accountable to yourself. You know, there's still daily disciplines I have around, you know, audiobooks and my podcast, you know, stuff that I do, you know, every day I'm learning, but it's probably the fitness and like the diet and just getting that back to where I want it to be is probably my next sort of goal. That I know I already have that, and that's underway, but yeah, that's where I know I need to do better.
Yeah. So out of everything we've discussed today, if you were to give one piece of advice to owners growing their business that are in this, like, sort of messy phase, what would that one piece of advice be for you?
It's so difficult because every agency owner and every agency is going to have different challenges.
Yeah. Yep.
Probably goes back to the two things that I think I probably should have done better: systemize faster, get a good platform, making sure that you don't be the bottleneck around as many things as you can. So when you don't have documented process and systems, a lot of those things then fall back onto you to solve. And when those tasks or things continue to increase, the time to respond to everyone also gets delayed. So you often find that you're the one that's holding the business back from growing.
That's it. So get out of your own way.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you very much for your time today. If people want to contact you, what's the best way to get in touch?
LinkedIn. So you can have a look at my profile on LinkedIn. I'm always posting on LinkedIn. I love to add value to people through LinkedIn, or just the website, thehypesociety.com.au. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, mate.
No worries. Thanks, Tristan.
That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.